Imagine a world with no spreadsheets, no digital bank transfers, absolutely zero forensic accounting software. Now, in that same world, picture a government official who is just systematically bleeding the state dry. But, this isn't some modern true crime story. This is a cold case, a very cold case. We're talking over 2,000 years old. And the evidence? Well, it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
So this is the observation at the heart of our whole explainer today. And wow, is it cynical? The writer's view is just completely unflinching. You put someone in charge of the money, and they will take a little taste. For him, this wasn't just, a possibility. It was a fundamental law of human nature.
So where does a quote like that even come from? Not from some jaded detective, no. It comes from this, the Arthashastra. It was written around 300 BC, and it's this absolute masterwork of political science. It's basically a complete guide to running a state, everything from foreign policy to economic theory. And as we're about to see, it's also a stunningly detailed manual on financial crime.
Now, the mastermind behind this book was a man named Kautilya, sometimes also known as Chanakya. And you really shouldn't think of him as some detached philosopher sitting in an ivory tower. No way. This guy was a ruthless political operator, a kingmaker who literally helped build an empire. He wasn't just theorizing about corruption. He was in the trenches, profiling it, dissecting it with the cold precision of a modern-day investigator.
Okay, so let's dive into his core theory. For Kautilya, corruption wasn't a flaw in the system. To him, it was the system. It was a fundamental feature of human nature when you mix it with power and money. He figured it was something you had to manage, not something you could magically get rid of.
And to illustrate this point, Kautilya uses this absolutely brilliant metaphor, the fish in water analogy. Just think about it. The official is operating inside the treasury, right? Swimming in the flow of money. The theft is invisible, happening right below the surface. They're surrounded by the very thing they're stealing, which makes the act itself feel totally natural and, you'd think, completely undetectable.
And this just nails the central problem, doesn't it? If the theft is as invisible as a fish drinking water, how in the world do you ever prove it even happened? How do you catch a financial ghost? Well, this is the exact challenge Kautilya set out to solve.
You see, Kautilya didn't just stop at clever metaphors and call it a day. Oh no! He approached this problem systematically. He created what is, for all intents and purposes, a playbook for embezzlement. A guide for both the criminal who wants to commit the crime and for the state that desperately wants to detect it.
He understood this whole problem on such a deep, granular level. He knew it just wasn't enough to say, oh, people will steal. No. To catch a thief, you have to think exactly like one. So he documented the specific mechanics of the crime. He broke down, step by step, exactly how they would go about stealing the money. He identified 40 distinct, specific ways that government officials could embezzle funds from the state. We're not talking vague ideas here. We're talking 40 concrete methods of fraud. It's just a shocking catalog of ancient white-collar crime.
And what is truly mind-blowing is how modern these methods feel. I mean, look at this table. It shows just a few examples. Under revenue collection, you could take a bribe to let someone pay their taxes late. For payments, you could pay a friendly contractor way earlier than you're supposed to. And check out sales, selling goods at retail price but recording it as wholesale, and then just pocketing the difference. This is invoice fraud, manipulating accounts payable, cooking the books. It is the exact same playbook that's used today.
Okay, so Kautilya has his list of crimes, right? But what about the investigation? How did he actually plan to catch these fish drinking the water? Well, his methods were just as sophisticated as the crimes themselves.
Kautilya's whole system was built on intelligence and psychology. He knew you couldn't always watch the money, so you had to watch the person. If an official was secretly stacking up wealth, he'd use secret agents to uncover it. If someone was suddenly spending way beyond their official salary, boom, they were put under surveillance. I mean, that's a classic sign of illicit income, even today.
So let's break down the strategy. Step 1. Proactive integrity tests. Spies would literally go out and offer bribes to officials just to see if they take the bait. Step 2. Lifestyle audits. He advised suspecting anyone whose family lives well on a meager salary. Sound familiar? And step 3, this part is brilliant, a bit of public justice. The state would publicly announce, hey, if you've been ripped off by a crooked official, come forward, we'll pay you back, which of course would help the public and expose the culprits. Genius. Okay, so you've identified the crime and you've caught the criminal. What happens next? Well, the consequences were, let's just say, severe.
They were designed to make any potential reward just not worth the incredible risk.
Kautilya laid out this detailed and, honestly, pretty ruthless scale of punishments. If you simply failed to deliver revenue, you'd be fined 12 times the amount. But if you were caught misusing high-value goods like gems, the punishment was death. And notice the detail here. A mistake made through ignorance just got you a slap on the wrist, but deliberate theft, that earned you a whipping. The penalties were harsh, for sure, but they were incredibly specific and designed to fit the crime.
But here's the thing. Kautilya was a pragmatist. He wasn't just a tyrant. His system wasn't only about punishment. He knew you also had to reward honesty. He makes it crystal clear that loyal, effective officials who actually increase the state's wealth without cheating would be rewarded with job security. They'd be made permanent in service. It's a classic carrot and stick approach.
And you know, that really brings us to our final thought. The technology of theft is changed, right? We now have shell corporations and cryptocurrency. But have the fundamental human impulses that Kautilya identified really changed at all? That temptation to just taste the honey on the tip of the tongue, that irresistible taste of the king's wealth, it's just as powerful today as it was in 300 BC. The Arthashastra isn't just some historical document. It's a timeless and kind of chilling reminder of the ongoing battle between governance and good old-fashioned human greed.